Good evening, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the south. Stuck on the A27, it's what happens to 45,000 drivers a day between Portsmouth and Brighton. So will new flyovers stop the jams?
Easing the overcrowding, how care homes are coming to the rescue of overstretched hospitals in a new pilot scheme.
Inspiring the next generation of young sailors, America's Cup success and some royal support.
And Hollywood comes south for Dunkirk the movie. So which A-listers have been spotted so far? Good evening to you, welcome. It's one of the country's worst traffic bottlenecks where drivers between Portsmouth and Brighton can spend hours sat in jams. But now a £280 million improvement plan has been unveiled for the A27 at Chichester.
Yes, 45,000 drivers a day use that stretch of the A27. There are 5 options to upgrade the road, which include junction improvements, a new link road and flyovers.
But campaigners say the plans are a sticking plaster that won't reduce congestion long term. Our transport correspondent Mike Pearce has more.
Some of the 45,000 drivers who spend much more time than they'd like stuck in the A27 jams at Chichester. It's become a notorious spot on the key South Coast road.
I'm stuck here for about 45 minutes. My wife turns around the other way and goes the long way round to come and work because she's frightened to go onto the roundabout.
You can go a mile down the road and take you an hour.
Oh, you could be stuck doing anything, couldn't you, really?
It's between 10 to 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Today, a series of schemes went on show to improve the existing A27. The big problem is it has 5 roundabouts. The options include extra lanes, junction improvements and 2 flyovers. Reaction, though, is mixed.
I'm very troubled by what we're seeing today. I don't think they can be classed as improvements because they make the lives of the people of Chichester unpleasant, noisy, light pollution, air pollution. I don't see it resolves any of the problems, especially for local people.
Well, any improvement to the A27 is hugely welcomed by our members. It's a major barrier to business growth.
There are 5 options to improve the existing A27 at roundabouts and junctions. Option 1 would see new slip roads at 2 junctions, Fishbourne and Bognor, and restricted access at others. A similar option would see restricted access at Oving only. Option 2 would see new slip roads at Fishbourne and Bognor, and a new link road from Fishbourne to the B2145. Option 3 would see improvements with new traffic signals at most of the junctions. And a final option would see new slip roads, improved junctions and widening the dual carriageway to 3 lanes between Fishbourne and Bognor Road.
Reduce congestion, improve the consistency of journey times and improve safety, and we're assessing all the other benefits. Depending on which option we go for, then obviously it will have a different impact and a different set of benefits.
Some of the options look like they could provide real benefits, maybe with some alterations, but yeah, there maybe are some options here that could work.
I think the most important thing is to ensure that traffic is moving swiftly across the A27 east to west. We know that there's been hold-ups for some time, and this is the first part of what we're doing.
This was the first of 14 public exhibitions. Work on the schemes could start in 2 years and be complete in 2022. But one thing's clear, the existing misery can't continue. Mike Pearce, ITV News, Chichester.
And to look at the road plans in more detail and get all the day's news in the south, just head to our website itv.com/Meridian.
In other news, a woman's been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after 2 women were stabbed at a house in Romsey. Police were called to Withers Road at around 11 o'clock last night to reports of a disturbance. 2 45-year-old women were taken to Southampton General Hospital with stab wounds. One of them was arrested and remains in hospital under police guard.
4 more BHS stores will close across the south this weekend, with hundreds of staff losing their jobs. It was announced today that the stores in Poole, Portsmouth, Salisbury and Worthing will close on Saturday. The other stores, such as Bournemouth, Brighton, Fareham, Newport and Portsmouth, will be closed by the end of August, following the collapse of the chain in April.
Concerns are growing for the safety of a man missing from home in Salisbury. 34-year-old Simon Chadwick was last seen on Friday morning in the nearby Porton area. Officers are appealing for information.
Now we know what happens when A&E services are put under pressure. Long queues, delays and stress for staff and patients alike.
Yes, indeed. We saw it, of course, at the Queen Alexandra Hospital in Portsmouth earlier this year when 16 ambulances were backed up because of overcrowding.
So what to do about it? Well, Rachel Hepworth has been looking at how one pilot scheme at care homes has had staggering results in dramatically reducing the number of 999 call-outs.
That's it. Hold on to your frame.
After a series of falls, 93-year-old Dot is recovering well.
Yeah, keep going.
Like most people, she'd much rather be here in her own space than in hospital, and thankfully her care home is leading a pilot scheme which has reduced 999 calls by 40% and hospital admissions by a quarter.
Well done. Right, do you want to wiggle your bottom back? For these residents to stay in their own homes is much better than being dragged off to QA or any hospital locally that it's not their normal environment, so it's much nicer that they can remain in their own homes.
In the past, a fall at this care home would have meant an immediate ambulance call-out, but staff are now empowered to look at other options.
It's taking the ability that the staff have and the training that we've already given them and actually letting them use it without calling a full crew out to look at somebody to say, well, actually, there's no injury, they've slipped off the chair or they've slipped out of bed.
And the pressures of those call-outs has been plain to see in recent months, with paramedics stretched to the limit.
The frontline crews are exasperated with the amount of jobs that they go to through no one's fault, but we need to reduce that somehow. We need to, build the morale up within the crews so they can do their job properly, and to centre ourselves around the best patient care that we can.
And greater emphasis is now being put on nutrition, hydration and posture to prevent minor ailments turning into more complex problems. It's not rocket science, just much more joined-up thinking between paramedics, care homes and GPs.
The whole system is benefiting from a common-sense approach to communication. A bit like a rowing team in a boat. If we're all really good rowers, but we're not all pulling at the same time, you don't get the same efficiencies and benefits.
And the sad truth is that once in the hospital system, frail and elderly patients often find it much harder to recover, putting further strain on health services. It's hoped more care homes will now sign up to the scheme. Rachel Hepworth, ITV News in Fareham.
A man from Chichester has been jailed for 8 years after being found guilty of 47 burglaries in Hampshire and West Sussex. 58-year-old Albert James stole cash and expensive jewellery from homes in Bognor Regis, Littlehampton, Chichester, Waterlooville, Fareham and Portsmouth.
West Sussex County Council are calling on people to help them retain control of firefighters. Under new plans, the fire crews could be taken over by Sussex's Police and Crime Commissioner.
A father and son from Odium in Hampshire have kayaked 400 miles in 15 days to raise money for a cancer charity. Mark and Harry Kevill arrived back at Odium Wharf yesterday, having kayaked an average of a marathon a day from Lancashire to Hampshire. Mark's 10-year-old son, Robbie, died in February from a brain tumour. They hope to raise £28,000 to set up a dedicated paediatric team to help families at Southampton Children's Hospital, where Robbie was treated.
Well, you're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. We're delighted you are. Thanks for choosing us. Simon will be along soon with the weather forecast. Also coming up,
countdown to Rio. As our Olympic competitors prepare, we look at events closer to home for the campaign I Am Team GB.
For more on all of our stories, do head to itv.com/Meridian. Any views or news, call us please. 0808 10 10 095, the number to ring, or get in touch via Facebook, or why not send us a tweet at ITV Meridian.
We We often hear about the challenges faced by former service people in adapting to civilian life. In the south, there are 422,000 ex-personnel. Whether it's finding a job, settling in one place, it can be difficult.
Yes, and in extreme cases, veterans can find themselves on the wrong side of the law. Well, now a new project which offers help and guidance to members of the ex-forces is spreading across the country. With more, Helen Ford.
For Kevin Clark, life is on track. It hasn't always been the case. Since leaving the army 12 years ago, he's had a succession of jobs and faced homelessness. At the heart of Kevin's difficulties, post-traumatic stress disorder, triggered by his experiences in Iraq.
I was going from job to job to job, and it was just so hard to settle into the mundane civvy job. It was so difficult, and with the PTSD, it just buried you down even more.
Kevin joined the army at the age of 16, serving in Cyprus and Bosnia before Iraq. Back home, his struggle to adapt to civilian life culminated in his arrest last year for a minor offence. Kevin is far from alone. The question is how to help the veterans who find themselves in a police cell. This could be the answer. In parts of the country, everyone brought into custody is asked whether they've served in the armed forces. If so, they're given details of a support scheme run by 2 charities and backed by police forces.
Yeah, you've been attending all your courses and everything.
Yeah.
Kevin took up the offer of help from the scheme called Project Nova, receiving therapy for his PTSD and later work experience in the NHS.
We get veterans when they're at the lowest point in their life, really. And I think it's a bit of a wake-up call sometimes that they really need support. They're not coping on their own. We're trying to make it a positive thing, and it has been a positive thing in so many cases.
Records from one police force alone indicate that between September 2015 and March of this year, almost 500 veterans were brought into custody. Of those, only 77 asked to be referred to Project Nova. Those backing the scheme hope more will make that leap.
It often is something that's just gone wrong and, is chaos rather than bad behaviour. We've always got to remember that there may be a victim involved, so I'm not saying they won't be prosecuted if something has happened, but if we can nip in the bud something that's kind of in transition with Project Nova right on hand as they are to help, then let's do it.
At one stage, I was contemplating just getting rid of everything and trying to forget my past. Now I look at each 4 and all the other 4s with positive thoughts, and just the turnaround's amazing.
Kevin Clark can now recall his army life with pride, but he's also looking to the future, keen to grasp the opportunities that civilian life will hold. Helen Ford, ITV News.
The ITV Evening News continues with the national and international news at 6:30. Here's Mary Nightingale.
The unacceptable face of capitalism. Sir Philip Green is criticised over the collapse of BHS. MPs claim the former owner left the business on life support. The high street chain is closing down with the loss of 11,000 jobs. A Syrian man who blew himself up and injured 15 others in Germany had sworn allegiance to the so-called Islamic State. And ready for Rio, Laura Trott tells us about her hopes for cycling gold in next month's Olympics. We'll do John Marcos and me for that and more at 6:30.
We will indeed. We've got some more sport for you now. In fact, in football, Southampton launched their pre-season tour of Holland with a comfortable 4-0 win. They outclassed their host, PEC Zwolle, and ran up a 3-0 lead by half-time, thanks to an opener from Charlie Austin and then a double from Nathan Redmond. Content with what he'd seen, Claude Puel changed all 10 of his outfield players after the break, and the second half saw just one more score as Pierre-Emile Hodgberg recorded his first goal for the club from the penalty spot.
Not such a happy warm-up for Brighton, though, as they went down 1-0 at League Two Stevenage. The Albion dominated much of the game on a day when they played 2 friendlies. This, the second match after half the squad featured in another game at Luton. Former Reading man Rowan Libbard's strike was the difference between the sides here.
Meanwhile, Sir Ben Ainsley and the Land Rover BAR team really gave the South something to celebrate this weekend. They won the latest round of the America's Cup World Series and they are leading the event overall.
Well, they attracted thousands of people and thousands of pounds of business to Portsmouth. Here's Sally Simmons.
Sir Ben Ainsley popped the champagne in Portsmouth, having won the America's Cup World Series, with the Duchess of Cambridge and Prince William in the Solent to congratulate him. He knew he'd shown his rivals he's a serious contender for the Cup, and that with thousands of fans to help him, he'd given the city of Portsmouth an event to remember.
For us to race in Portsmouth in front of a home crowd, you know, the weather played its part. I had 2 cracking days of racing. And as a home team, to win in front of our home crowd, that's a big deal for us.
The campaign is also an inspiration for youngsters. Today, the first of 1,000 children took to the water in a series of taster sessions funded thanks to the America's Cup. They'll run throughout the summer.
I've never really been on a boat. I've only been on a ferry, but that's about it. I'd like to be like Ben Ainsley one day when I grow up.
Saturday's sweltering sunshine saw the home team post 2 victories out of 3, with former Wimbledon tennis champion Maria Sharapova taking to the water. Sunday's skies, though darker, meant racing was faster. Foiling is what these vessels are about, but winning is what Ainsley is about.
Yes, Land Rover Ben Ainsley Racing have just won the first race. The crowd really happy.
Only the American team Oracle threatened briefly. The event attracted tens of thousands into the city of Portsmouth. The nearest available hotel room was in Guildford.
We had lots of visitors here that wouldn't normally come to Portsmouth that had come down especially for the racing, and that was wonderful. So we had local people mingling with people down from London, mingling with people from France, from Bermuda, from all over the world.
And if Ainsley wins the America's Cup next summer, he will bring it home to the Solent, and this weekend's success has made rival teams and home fans consider it a very real possibility. Sally Simmons, ITV News, Portsmouth.
Now, 11 days to go before the Olympic Games at Rio, and many of the South's competitors are there now preparing for their events. Rowing, sailing, hockey, lots of our local sportsmen and women taking part.
Indeed, yes, like Amber Hill, our shooter from Bracknell, the 18-year-old is eyeing up a podium place. So are Saskia Clark and Hannah Mills, both based in Weymouth, the sailing duo who recently won gold in the south of France.
While Olivia Federici from Farnborough and Katie Clark from Reading will represent Team GB in synchronised swimming. Good luck to them all.
Indeed, and many of them will have at some point spent time at one of the National High Performance Centres. One of the key areas that's focused on is sports science, as Steve Clamp explains.
Even without Team GB, the gym at this English Institute of Sport is rarely quiet. England Netball were using the facilities, as was a world's strongest man competitor. We all know the importance of weights and cardio to sportsmen and women, but it's in the science lab here where the difference between winning and losing can be made.
Sure that's comfortable.
Dr. Steve Ingham is the Director of Science.
What does this do? This here has got a turbine, so a small turbine inside, and this is the gas sensor. So this will pick up the concentration of gases that Luke's breathing in and out, and the turbine will pick up the volume of air breathing in and out in each breath. This sort of test will look at the engine size, so how much air can you consume, and the more oxygen you can consume, the faster you can run.
How much difference has this kind of technology and all the technology, since it's been around, the 3-4 decades, how much difference has it made to competitors?
Well, the fundamentals of applying science to elite athletes is why guess when we can know.
So what is it you're seeing on the screen here?
So here, for example, in blue, we've got a measure breath by breath of the oxygen carrying capacity. Luke's consuming around about 3.7 litres per minute. Our marathoners, elite marathoners and Mo Farah, for example, will be another 2 litres on top of that at least. When we see carbon dioxide starting to go up and up and up and actually exceed oxygen consumption, then we know they're starting to struggle.
OK, right. Luckily, our guinea pig, Luke Starr, was being just that for us, and soon being zipped into this contraption before being inflated. That's the machine, not him. This is a fantastic looking device, Steve. What does this do?
Well, fundamentally, it's a treadmill. So Luke's having a running session, but the unique feature about this is that what we can do is we can simulate just taking the edge off gravity. So the actual impact of Luke's body mass is reduced by just giving him a bit of a lift. So he's got some shorts on, he's in this big bag and it gets inflated and lifts off. So the ground contact is ever so slightly reduced.
It's a bit like running on the moon.
A little bit like running on the moon, it is, yeah.
And there's good reason for it, cutting down on injuries. Between 2008 and 2012, 8,000 days were lost by our Olympic athletes. This machine allows cardio levels to be maintained without the traditional wear and tear on muscles. People come here from all around the country. How do you make sure they have the edge, that our athletes are staying one step ahead of the competition from all around the world?
We've got 270 practitioners, staff, nutritionists, biomechanists, psychologists, all working with the several teams, the Olympic and Paralympic teams. And effectively, with that support team, the team behind the team, making sure that we're doing everything that we can to support the athletes.
So what's the future of sports science? What can you see unfolding in the years ahead?
I'd see in the future, I think there's still some more gain to be had in our British system about us understanding how athletes move and how athletes learn, the technique that they're applying and how quickly they're developing some of those skills.
Of course, sports science can help perfect our sportsmen and women, but it's not a shortcut to success, just an addition to all that traditional hard graft. Steve Clamp, ITV News.
Well, with all the excitement building around those Rio Olympics, ITV is calling on sports clubs and activity groups to help pay their part in what is being billed as the nation's biggest sports day.
Yes, thousands of free events are being offered as part of I Am Team GB, which is backed by us here at ITV and the National Lottery. The event is on Saturday, the 27th of August.
For example, there's an I Am Team GB Winchester Park Run at the North Walls Recreation Ground at 9 a.m, open to runners, joggers and walkers of all abilities for 5 kilometres, just over 3 miles.
There's others too at Basingstoke, Eastleigh, Fareham, Portsmouth and Salisbury, to name just a few. And you can also have a go at judo in Andover, or if you're up for a challenge, a British military fitness session on Southampton Common for the over 16s.
Price has been speaking to our Olympians on why sport is so important to them.
When you hit those hard parts, you just got to think of your long-term goal, and that's to be going to the Olympics this summer.
You get to win as a team, lose as a team, and you get to share those fantastic experiences with a group of other like-minded individuals.
It's really given me the confidence to fulfil my dreams, ultimately.
On August the 27th, ITV's inviting you to help keep the Olympic legacy alive.
Hi, I'm Tom Daly and I am Team GB.
Famous faces going for gold in Rio are backing the ITV event, which is giving sports clubs and activity groups the chance to open their doors and welcome in brand new members.
This is all about trying something new. Whether you're a seasoned swimmer or it's the first time on the starting blocks, it really doesn't matter. Any age, any ability, you can get involved and play a part in the nation's biggest ever sports day.
And it's got the backing of athletes from the ITV News Meridian region, including the diver Chris Mears, who grew up near Reading.
The legacy that's left behind from an Olympic Games is something that can really inspire a generation.
And judo player Ashley Mackenzie, who trains in Surrey.
Getting in sport is pretty important for me. It's changed my life. I went from someone who didn't really do much well in school to 2 times Olympics.
And for more details on how you can play your part, head to the website iamteamgb.com.
Hi, my name's Daniel Goodfellow.
I'm Naomi Folkard.
I'm Patrick Houston.
Thank you for your support and thank you for getting involved with I Am Team GB.
More than 100 cyclists have taken part in a charity ride over the South Downs in memory of Albion in the community's former chief executive, Gary Townsend.
Yes, he died sadly and very suddenly at the age of 43 while on holiday in Spain last month. He had been due to take part in an Ironman challenge this summer and aimed to raise £5,000 for charity.
Well, the cyclists have exceeded that total and more donations are still coming in to his Just Giving fundraising page.
Oh, it's meant a great deal. They're very proud of Gary and to see how much love and respect people had for him so far from his hometown, it's just so amazing, so amazing.
Well done to them. Now, the bright lights of Hollywood came to Swanage in Dorset today as actor Tom Hardy and singer-turned-actor Harry Styles came into town for filming on a new blockbuster movie, Dunkirk.
Yes, this was the One Direction star on board a steam train on Swanage Railway. The town's train station's been transformed into a Hollywood film set, with the homecoming scenes for the Christopher Nolan epic being filmed there. Dunkirk is set to hit cinemas in a year's time.
Swanage is a lovely nostalgic railway leading down to the Victorian Pier, so Swanage has been used for quite a few times as a film, you know, the drop set for a film. Hopefully once the film is released and there'll be some nice views of Swanage. I mean, I do hope so, yes, but we're looking forward to seeing what's going to come.
From our point of view, it's very interesting to see so many people around here, but the parking's getting a bit tricky.
Do you know who's coming?
Tom Hardy and what's his from JM? Don't know.
JLS, One Direction.
But we struggle a bit as well, don't we?
Not me.
The Swanage and Harlan's Cross station also closed tomorrow. Filming then moves to Weymouth.
I know more than just Wham, you know.
Yeah, you know Simon Parkin.
Thanks. I've got the makings of a Hollywood blockbuster here.
Have you?
Yeah, have a look at this picture that Dawn Gray took on the day that her sister got married to a fella called John.
Yes.
And have a look at that cloud at the top, look.
Yeah.
Look. Isn't that nice?
That's lovely.
Another lovely sky here for you in our clouds that look like other things. Wayne Spring in Sea Haven. At the top there, can you see the rabbit?
Yes, I can.
Yes, sort of.
All right, tricky one for you here. Fiona Hubbard took this one above the harbour arm. Hole in the cloud she thinks looks like?
A wolf.
Fox, she said.
Oh.
But just above that, look. Is it me or is that Pinocchio?
Oh, that's Pinocchio.
And finally, Faye Jordan tweeted me with a big family debate at the weekend. This one's spotted in the sky above Upper Basildon. Sailing boat or witch's hat?
Santa's hat.
No,
Santa's hat? Oh, hang on a minute.
boat.
We can't go three ways. And it's the summer.
Summer, good weather, continues.
It's all right, it's all right.
It's all right. Here he is, Simon Parkin.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, here's Daryl's gorgeous image of the star trails above Hurst Point Lighthouse, and it's all thanks to the very clear nights we've had recently. Mind you, the nights have also been a bit warm and sticky. That all changes this week because we've got fresher air coming our way. Last week we had warm air coming up from the south, hence the temperatures in the mid-30s. For this week we're back to the more traditional westerly flow, and that means temperatures will be a more bearable 21, 22, maybe 23 degrees, and that means sleeping might be just a little bit easier. Overnight tonight, fresher air, temperatures around 13, 14 degrees. There'll be some bits and pieces of cloud and some clear spells too, and that'll make for a decent start tomorrow. Dry and fine, some bright or sunny spells to get us going. As we head through the day, a bit more in the way of cloud developing from the west. Also the chance of catching one or two showers, but just light patchy rain, nothing of any significance, and many of us will stay dry. Temperatures tomorrow, nothing to moan on about. 21 is 70 in Fahrenheit. As for your high tide times, you can see in Portsmouth, 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:45 in the evening.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
before we go, can we just say a big hello to all the lovely people who sang Gita Met at the Eastleigh Mellor yesterday.
Yep, the welcome really was as warm as the sun. The food, entertainment and atmosphere was just splendid. A real community day out and so many people sending Fred and Simon their best wishes. Thank you so much for your kindness.
Thank you very much indeed. Lovely. Thanks for looking after her as well.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Not easy.
No, it's not easy. In just a moment here, we've got the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale and Mark Austin.
Stacey Poole's got Al 8 News, but for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you very much indeed for watching. Take care. See you soon.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.